Good morning. There's a story I read again this week of the supposedly so-called miraculous staircase in the Loreto Chapel in Santa Fe in New Mexico. The story goes that the sisters had this chapel designed and built in the 1880s. But the architect died before it was completed. Now, normally that wouldn't be a problem, except that he hadn't included the design for how he envisaged the staircase to get the sisters from the ground to the choir loft 20 feet in the air. There was confined space and it was very tricky. And so when the chapel was complete without the staircase, the sisters called in various experts and carpenters and so on to try and find a solution to get this staircase built. But no one could come up with an answer. It was very tight space and very tricky. Nothing could be found. It was impossible. The only solutions were the worst of a bad, or the best of a bad bunch. Maybe a ladder, which was considered inappropriate and unsuitable. And so the sisters resorted to a novena, 9 days of prayer and fasting and public-private prayer. And they prayed to the patron saint of carpenters, St. Joseph. And this 9 days of prayer happened between the Feast of the Ascension and Pentecost. They prayed, they prayed, and they prayed. And on the 9th day, this stranger turned up and asked for work. He had a donkey, a burro, with a toolbox and some simple tools on its back. And he said, "Is there any work you can give me?" So the sisters took him into the chapel, believing this may be part of the answer to their prayer, took him into the chapel and explained their problem. And he said, "Okay, I think I can build what you need. The conditions are that you leave me alone and no one comes into the chapel until I'm finished." Okay. Now, no one knows whether it was days, weeks or months. There's various stories. But the sisters gave him his privacy. When they finally got back into the chapel, what they discovered was this amazing double helical staircase that spiraled up, several spirals, or a couple of spirals up. 33 steps, 20 feet into the air. There was no supporting centre post. It was just 33 steps in a spiral. The handiwork was beautiful, amazing. There were no nails, only wooden pegs and some glue. It was, by all accounts, and still is, a most amazing project. The other mysterious part about this was, or two other mysterious parts about this were the wood. When it was analysed, this wood was no local timber. No one knew where it came from. How did he get it there? Where did he get it from? He only had a donkey to carry it on. And the mysterious stranger disappeared when the work was complete and was never paid. Who was he? No one knows. Many have examined the work, and modern experts marvel at the intricacy of the design and the craftsmanship. Even with modern tools and support structures and so on, the work would be incredibly difficult and require a master craftsman. It's a marvellous work. And I guess for many people, the questions are looked at from a scientific, logical, rational way. How, where, when, who, what, looking for the answers. But for the sisters, this was the work of God. This was an answer to their prayers. In the midst of the chaos and the confusion and the complexity of their problem, when only solutions were the best of a bad bunch, they prayed and God provided an answer. And some believe it was St. Joseph himself come back and built this. We can ask all the questions we like and we can engage in it in various ways, but for the sisters it was an act of faith. and God was revealed in the midst of their crisis. And they got a way forward. I guess that's what Christmas is about. Christmas is about God breaking into human life in the midst of the chaos and the mess and the complexity and all the questions and puzzles and struggles, saying that the universe is not neutral and the universe is not negative towards us, but the universe is held in love, created out of love and grace and wonder. This God who is Trinity, who creates in love and holds everything together. And there is this mysterious force of love and grace at work in our lives and the world when we're open to it and when we have eyes to see and ears to hear. And so will we listen to this story of the miraculous staircase with eyes of faith and wonder and rejoice in the possibilities? Or will we live with doubt and confusion and frustration at not knowing the answers? And so we come to Matthew's story this week, his story of Christmas. We're used to the one in Luke with its census and the journey of a very pregnant Mary and Joseph travelling from Nazareth to Bethlehem. No room in the inn, staying in a cattle stall, she giving birth and the baby wrapped in swaddling clothes and put into a manger, and presumably cattle and sheep around, angels in the sky coming to shepherds and shepherds visiting. We're used to that story and the nativity scenes, but Matthew's is different, quite simple. But it's profound too. It's the story of a man, Joseph, who discovers that his fiancée is pregnant, and he knows that he's not the father. And in the simplicity of the story, we're met with a moral puzzle question. What does he do? There's all sorts of questions about trust. Who is the bloke? I thought Mary loved him and there was trust, but she's off with another bloke. Who is he? There's the element of risk. Will this father of this child, if he takes Mary and this child as his own, will the father have a claim on his property, on his wealth? Not that there is much. How will it look? Joe knows that Fred down the road would just humiliate Mary publicly. But that's not him. Joseph is a man who is described as righteous, humble, courageous. And he wonders whether he should just divorce her quietly and allow her to pursue her own life, maybe go to this bloke who is the father of the child, and he can go off and find his new way in life. And he sleeps on it. And in the sleep, there is this dream, maybe in that twilight zone, REM sleep or whatever it is, where reality and sleep and wakefulness are all kind of mixed. But in this, there's this dream, and an angel speaks to him and says, Joseph, trust Mary. Her cock and bull story is true. This is about God. Go with it. This child needs a father like you. Mary needs a husband, one like you. Go with it. This child is to be called Emmanuel, God with us. God with us in the midst of complexity and confusion and chaos. When all seems wrong and out of kilter and we don't know where to go or what to do, when there's moral questions and risk questions and difficult questions, and the way ahead seems to be blocked by every barrier that can be erected, trust. Trust in this God and see where it leads. And sometimes in the midst of these impossible questions, a new possibility emerges. One that we could never imagine or believe. But it comes. And it comes to us in faith. with eyes to see and ears to hear. It emerges. And sometimes this possibility is just to trust that God is with us and will hold us. Much like Joseph. If I go this way, I'm trusting God that you will be there. And that when people attack me or reject me or question me, you won't. And you'll find a way. I don't know what it was like in this story, what Matthew was imagining when he created this story. Or what questions it held for his community. This man who has choices to make and ultimately has to let go and trust God. Or this young woman who has questions and confusion and wonder but has to trust God. Of these ordinary people in the midst of a complex life who give themselves into the grace of God. And that really is what Christmas is about. It's not about tinsel and festivities and gifts and all of those sort of things, all good things. It's not about a day of the year, but it's about faith, hope and love. It's about trusting in this God that we can't control or see or even fully know, but we can only trust and love. And who will be revealed to us as we follow, as we journey, as we let go, as we find a new way in life. And it really is what the world needs, is faith, hope and love that will transform people and lives and communities and nations and break down the barriers that divide and separate, that will put an end to the violence, because we don't need violence to answer our problems. We need love. We need empathy. We need courage, compassion, kindness. We need to work together. And this is the way of love, the way of the universe, the way of God. Will we give ourselves up to this way in Christmas and trust God like Joseph? Will we trust God like the sisters? Will we see the miracles and wonders happen in our lives? Miracles are really just these open moments of wonder and awe when God is real and love is true and faith carries us and there is hope and joy and peace. Will you follow in this way?